point of this short video is just to demonstrate the concept that you can add vectors by adding their horizontal and perpendicular components. Here we have two vectors, a blue one pointing to the right and up, and a green one pointing to the left and up. Let's add them. You learned how to graphically add vectors last year. Start by drawing the first one, and then we add the second one by beginning it at the point where the first one ended. We connect the vectors tail to head. So that diagram shows the green vector being added to the blue one. The sum of the two vectors, or the resultant, is the vector that points from where we started drawing to where we ended up. The red vector there is the sum of the blue and the green one. You've also learned that a vector can be thought of as being the sum of two perpendicular components. That blue vector, for example, could be the sum of a vector pointing to the right and a vertical component pointing straight up. Similarly, that green vector can be considered as the sum of a vector pointing horizontally to the left and a vector pointing straight up, such that they add to equal the green vector. Now let's try adding the components of those vectors together. Let's start with the horizontal component of the blue vector. And let's add the horizontal component of the green vector to it. Now let's add the vertical component of the blue vector and the vertical component of the green vector. So that diagram shows all four components of the two vectors added together. As in any vector addition diagram, the sum of all of those, the resultant of that addition, is the vector that points from where we first started drawing to where we ended up. And it should be no surprise, it's the same result that we got when we added the two vectors originally. The point here then is that you can add vectors by first breaking them up into their components and adding the components together. That proves to be a very useful method for solving almost all vector problems. We'll look at how to do that in a calculating way in later videos.